Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Welcome, one and all, to another episode of the Newfangled Motion Picture Show. I am one of your hosts, Niall.
And I'm the other host, Nolan.
And today we're going to be discussing Clint Eastwood's latest directorial efforts. That is Richard Jewell.
You will know his name and the truth. That was the tagline, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Or the world will know his name and the truth.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so we're going to do a normal thing where we do a spoiler-free review. Not that there's a whole lot to spoil about this movie, which we usually say when we're talking about movies about historical events, because, you know, like, cat's already out of the bag there, right?
Yeah.
And then
although there's a lot of still misunderstandings about this whole thing.
That's true, and we might address some of that too. But we'll do that in the spoiler part, because we'll give you a spoiler warning partway through and go more in depth into the movie from there. So anyway, in case you're unaware, Richard Jewell is about a man who was a security guard at the 1996 Olympics. Specifically, like, at the concerts that were going on, like, the week before the Olympics, right?
Yeah, well, there's always a number of concerts going on at the venues.
Yeah. And he was a security guard, though, at one of these venues.
This is in Atlanta, Georgia.
In 1996. And he discovers a bomb left in an unattended backpack, and a pipe bomb, and him discovering it saved a lot of people's lives. I mean, a couple people still died in the explosion.
There was like 100 people injured.
Right, but it would have been a lot worse if he hadn't seen it.
Yeah, they started to evacuate people, but it went off during the evacuation still.
Right.
So,
and then it follows. Then it goes into the media frenzy around him and around the FBI investigation into the bombing, where Richard Jewell becomes a suspect. Instead of just, the hero that he was, as much of a, frankly, as a weirdo as he comes off as. But, yeah, so this movie, as far as entertainment value goes, it's a good movie. It's a well done, well paced movie. I think it's a lot better than Clint Eastwood's last movie,
The Mule,
which we reviewed that one. If you want to go see our thoughts on that, but I think it was a better movie than The Mule.
I don't think we disliked The Mule, though.
No, it was just kind of okay from what I recall.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Plus, it's got Sam Rockwell in it, which we love Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell is one of those actors who, when I see he's in a movie, I'm instantly more intrigued in the movie. There's a few actors that are like that for me, but Sam Rockwell is definitely one of the big ones. And it being Sam Rockwell, he does an amazing job. I mean, all the actors do really great jobs, but Sam Rockwell, I mean, he has the most, him and what's her name?
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates have the most emotional dialogue and reactions in the movie. And they're both great at it. Yeah, and then what's his name? Hamm, right?
John Hamm.
John Hamm, also really great in the movie.
And Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Richard Jewell.
Yeah,
he's pretty good too. He
excuse me.
I was reading somewhere a quote from. It was either his mother, or actually no, I think it was Sam Rockwell's character, Watson Bryant, the real Watson Bryant, who was his lawyer and friend, said that it was kind of like Richard Jewell's dead. He died in 2007 of a heart attack. But he had said it was like having him there again for a couple hours watching the movie. He said that Paul Walter Hauser did a really good job.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's I mean, again, it's like not a whole lot we can say about the overall plot because it's historical events. They did change a couple of things as far as like the character of the reporter who broke the story about the FBI investigating him and like her methods. But as far as telling a story goes, they needed the audience to dislike her more. To have a more impactful story.
Yeah. So I recommend this movie.
That was Olivia Wilde's character.
Yeah, and she's good too. I always liked Olivia Wilde. So she came on the scene in House. First thing I remember seeing her in was House.
Yeah, the first big movie I remember seeing her in was Tron.
Yeah. Anyway,
Tron Legacy. That is.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So I recommend this movie, especially if you don't even know the story.
Yeah. So I was born in the early '90s, and I didn't even know these events happened. I mean,
you were about 5.
Yeah, I was like 5 years old when this happened, and well, when were the Summer Olympics? I might have been almost 5 at the time, and it's weird because I don't remember this ever getting talked about. Like I remember people talking about like the Oklahoma City bombing and the bombing in Beirut, but I never remember hearing anything about.
I only remember a little bit
this
about it. I would have been, let's see, summer of
You would have been
96.
10?
I would have been 11.
Yeah, 11. Yeah.
I only kind of remember it.
Yeah, so when I saw the we took Dad to see something, and we saw the trailer for that, and he just went like, "Man, the media screwed that guy's life up so bad." And I was like, I had no idea who this person was.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, aside from what I understand, aside from the portrayal of that, just full on smashed the mic there. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up too bad in the audio. Anyway, from what I understand, other than the portrayal of that female reporter, it's pretty good as far as telling what happened, right?
Yeah, I think so. My understanding of it, anyway.
And if we're wrong, yell at us in the comments.
They actually went and shot a lot of it in Atlanta.
It helps that a lot of movies are shot in Georgia anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's convenient that.
So I'm gonna throw up a spoiler warning here.
Yeah, spoiler warning again. Not that there's a whole lot to spoil, but
yeah. Well, the thing that, because in this movie, Olivia Wilde's character Kathy Scruggs uses sex to get information out of people, especially this FBI agent played by John Hamm. And there's no evidence that she ever actually did that. The actual reporter is dead now, so she can't, not even allowed to make comment on it. But the newspaper she worked for, they sent a letter to Warner Brothers. They want a message put up at the beginning of the movie declaring that the portrayal of Kathy Scruggs is completely fictional, because there is no evidence of that apparently. But I think it, like Niall said, I think it's there to emphasize to make her less likable in the beginning. By the end of it, she has some real regrets on it, and she does try to help maybe fix that a little bit.
Well,
so there is some character growth.
Yeah, she goes and does the timing, because the police have the time of when because the actual bomber called 911 and told them there's a bomb in Centennial Park. You have 30 minutes, and that's in the trailer with them trying to get the voice recording. The FBI trying to get the voice recording from Richard Jewell. Telling him if this could be the only way to clear your name, and so they're having to record the line so they can compare it to the recording of the 911 call.
but they know because they know the call came from this payphone, and he found the backpack like a minute after the call came in, and so there's no way he could have gotten from the payphone to the backpack.
They walked it, and trust me when I say Richard Jewell sure as hell wasn't running to that payphone.
Right.
They walk that distance, and it takes like 6 minutes.
Yeah,
something like that. And so it's not even close. Like there's no way that it happened. And like Sam Rockwell and his assistant
future wife
Nadia, right?
Yeah.
They walk that too. And like when he first takes the case, he walks that, and just to confirm to himself that Richard didn't do this thing. And that sort of cements his resolve to like really like help him out and win this case for him. And so but yeah, Kathy does that same pacing and times it, and she realizes there's absolutely no way that he did this. And she's at that point, like you can just tell she really regrets, because she got the information out of the FBI before it was public knowledge, and then she wrote the article saying like, oh, this hero that's being praised in the media and stuff, and the FBI, he's the FBI's primary suspect, and that's a juicy story. So every news organization in the country was running the story.
Yeah, and suddenly, like, everyone's taking it to be like, well, obviously he did it if the FBI is involved in investigating him. Well, the FBI would investigate anyone.
Like they say in the trailer, you look at the guy who finds the bomb just like you look at the guy who finds the body.
Yeah. The thing is now, by that point, though, it's out there, and they don't really have a choice. They kind of almost have to pin it on him, because then otherwise they look bad. So now they're trying to pin it on Richard Jewell.
And like they're really making by the end of the movie, they're really like stretching things, trying to like, well, if he, clearly he must have had an accomplice, and like, well, then suddenly he doesn't fit the lone bomber profile that you built for this, right?
And they're like, well, the profile is just a starting off point or whatever, and it's
right.
Like, the FBI is starting to lose a lot of credibility by the end of the movie. And then I think I'd seen a response to the accusation that their portrayal of Kathy Scruggs is all false, and Olivia Wilde's like, well, it's a movie, and so it's there for entertainment, but it also allows for character development and a character arc for the character, because by the end she really regrets what she did, like publishing the story in the first place, because she doesn't believe by that point that he actually did it, and she's starting to see the way it is ruining his life and his mother's life and
even the lawyer's life.
So yeah, there's that. And then I want to say there's absolutely nothing political about this movie. There's talk about there being a political message. It's not there.
No.
So
just because Clint Eastwood made the movie.
Believe me, if Clint Eastwood made a movie with a political message, Olivia Wilde would not be involved in the movie.
No.
So it's not there. So if that's like any sort of concern, it's not.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there for people may have heard that story. But yeah, I mean, it's in the end they show how, because they finally did catch the guy who actually planted the bomb admitted to it years later after he was arrested for something else, I think. I'm trying to remember, but anyway, he admits it, and so but the thing is, in real life, people still believe Richard Jewell planted the bomb and got away with it.
Yeah.
Or got off.
Well, because they didn't make, like, no one covered, from what I understand, no one covered the story of, we found out who did the bombing in 1996, not nearly to the level they did when the bombing happened.
Right, and they didn't cover when the FBI dropped the case on Richard Jewell, no one covered that.
That was 2 months, like 2 or 3 months after.
Yeah, maybe
the start of the whole thing. I think.
Trying to remember. Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, so I recommend checking this movie out. It's an interesting. I think the only thing that could potentially be considered political about it is it's interesting that this movie about how the media, hungry for a story, can ruin a man's life along the way, an innocent man's life along the way. I think it's interesting that such a movie comes out now.
Yeah.
That might be the only thing that's like could be considered political about this movie.
Yeah, with
like
talk of fake news in the media out there, and
I mean that's basically all I could think of that can be construed as political. So
yeah, but it's sort of more political adjacent. That way, there's no specifics.
It's not really. Yeah, it's not like it's not written to be commentary on anything, but it's easy to draw analogies.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so anything else to say about this movie?
No, just I definitely recommend
it.
this movie. I think it's a very good movie.
Yeah. It's easy for us to tell you, yeah, definitely go see this movie. I get there's a lot of people that do not go to the movies as often as we do.
Well, if you are interested in it, when it hits Netflix or Amazon, whatever, watch it then.
Yep.
It's not something that, it's not something like...
It's not something that benefits from being in the theater.
Right. There's no,
screen.
There's no, other than one explosion, there's no visual effects in the movie.
Yeah. So anyway, the next movie we're going to be reviewing is Jumanji,
The Next Level.
And that should be going up probably the day after this review goes up.
Yeah.
So go check that out. The next movie that we're going to see, because we've already seen Jumanji, the next movie we're going to see is Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I was indifferent towards this movie until that last full trailer they came out with. And then I was a lot more excited for it. We were considering seeing Cats for the zeitgeist. Being aware of the zeitgeist that's going to happen around that release, but after that second trailer they came out with, I don't think we can even justify it then. It looks... I can't. But the next movie we're going to see after that's probably going to be Uncut Gems. The official release date for it was this last weekend. But that's not the widespread release, and where we're at, we never get the limited releases around here. It's so annoying. But that comes out Christmas Eve, I think.
Yeah, I think they feel we're close enough to Los Angeles to go or something. Yeah, we're okay. A 5-hour drive, sure.
I mean, it would have to be the next Mad Max movie or something.
Yeah.
For me to do that. But anyway, then after that's 1917, which looks really good, and test audiences are loving it. And then that's pretty much it for the year, right?
Yeah.
In January, we hit the weird area where it's family movies that they weren't confident enough could compete with Frozen and Star Wars. In December.
In the horror movies that they weren't confident could compete in October.
Yeah. And so we've got... We might see...
dumb comedies.
Yeah, we might see My Spy just because there's not really anything else coming out that...
Yeah, but only because of Dave Bautista.
Yeah. I like Dave Bautista, and I'm willing to give my money to a project he's in if it keeps him in movies, basically. And then, I don't know what The Informer is, but it's got Clive Owen in it.
Yeah, well, Clive Owen isn't a reason to see any movie for me.
I mean, it's I mean, he's no.
I don't have any problem with Clive Owen,
I like Clive Owen,
but he's not an actor that I'm like, well, if Clive Owen's in it, I'll go see it.
we've got Bad Boys for Life, and Doolittle, and The Last Full Measure. Last Full Measure looks interesting.
Yeah,
probably see that. And then
that's got Samuel L. Jackson,
yeah,
and Sebastian Stan, and Christopher Plummer.
Sebastian Stan, I like seeing in movies. Then The Gentleman, which is the next Guy Ritchie movie, which means we have to see it, and it's got a super stacked cast. So
yeah,
that's gonna be amazing. That's what we got coming up for January. It's like I said, it gets to this weird time where like there's some good sounding movies coming out in January, but other than that Guy Ritchie movie, like not a whole lot that's like an oh my god, I'm so excited for this. I think 1917's basically it that's on our radar currently, so
yeah.
So if any of that sounds of interest to you, hit that bell button, I guess is the important one on YouTube these days. If you're finding this video sometime in the future when some other new button is more important, hit that one instead.
Yeah, whatever button.
Whatever's the important button in your time of listening to this or watching. I mean, if you want to watch the slideshow go on and on.
I put a lot of effort into that slideshow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He finds a dozen pictures and drops them into the timeline in Premiere, and then just takes that and copies it over and over again a few times.
Hey, don't give up my secrets. Come on, people pay money to learn how to do that. Don't.
No, you just take a masterclass now. Learn how to do that. Watch some guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what we got coming up. Also, check out our other reviews. What was our most recent one?
I can never remember our most recent review.
Oh, we see a lot of movies. Who was it? It wasn't Frozen 2, was it?
I think it was Frozen 2.
Might have been Frozen 2.
No, yeah, it was Frozen 2.
Well, it's the next more recently viewed item on my IMDb timeline down here, so.
Yeah, it was Frozen 2.
Yep. So yeah. Go listen to that. We see a lot of movies. So, we do a lot of reviews. Anything else to add to that?
Nah.
Alright, cool. Till next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.